Hey everybody, welcome to Should I Love with Jason Stuart with my guest, comedian, actor, writer, I guess author now,
Yes.
Guy BRANUM. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Jason. Good to be here.
So the first thing I want to say to you is thank you so much. We talked about it before, but I'll do it again. It just so touched me that you brought my name up as somebody who you had known about. I'm even choking just to say what you said on Left of Eight.
I would like to say thank you to you because when I was starting out doing this, people don't really think about the fact that there aren't really that many well-known gay male stand-up comics. Like, there aren't that many gay stand-up comics, but almost all of them are women. And when I was starting out, like, it really was, like, you, Scott Capurro,
Bob Smith.
Mario Cantone, Bob Smith, who nobody remembers now. And I remember, like, I think he had a column in, like, a gay magazine.
Oh, Genre and The Advocate, I think. Well, he wrote for both of them.
Yeah, well, I remember reading Genre.
We did a thing, he said, she said.
Oh, really?
He said, he said.
Yeah.
A column. That's so funny.
But, like, you know, even before I was doing stand-up, like right after I came out, just sort of, like, having these presences who were sort of, like, cutting through the bullshit and talking about things as they were. And one of the really interesting things is you, like, I think back then, because gay male stand-ups really didn't have a possibility for much mainstream success.
Oh, not at all.
Like, you were just sort of, like, talking to us. And, like, it's kind of weird now, where, you know, like, most gay male stand-ups don't really perform for gay audiences that much a lot of the time. And they don't necessarily have material that's about the reality of being a gay guy.
Well, what they do is they do what I call fish out of water.
Uh-huh.
So they become the joke.
Yeah.
And that's where I get bored.
Right.
Because it's hard to keep doing that when you're in your 20s or 30s. It's cute.
Yeah.
But when you get in your 40s or 50s, it's just like, yeah, that's not me anymore.
Well, and you want somebody with a perspective. But it was really, you know, I was just saying, like, having you show up in San Francisco at the Punchline, like, I remember so distinctly, you
saw me at the Punchline. You know, I only did it once.
Oh, seriously?
With Margaret Cho. Wait a second. The Punchline? Was it the Punch? That was the Improv.
You were there for the
Maybe I don't remember.
For the Sunday showcase one. So you were in town for something else. But you did the Sunday showcase.
I don't remember it.
But I do. And it was, like, really important to see. And, you know, San Francisco was always a great town for stand-up and gay stand-up. So, like, there were...
Really? See, I never saw it that way. I saw Josie. Remember Joey?
Yeah, well, Josie's. Yeah, yes, Josie's existed.
I canceled once Josie's. I'll never forget
Why?
this. Because I got a guest star on the Drew Carey Show. It's the first time I ever had a guest star on a sitcom, and they would never let me come back.
Oh, really?
They didn't book it, yeah. So I never did Josie's.
Oh.
Is that insane?
That is. I mean...
That's exactly... That's the antithesis of gay male stand-up comedy.
How do you mean?
The idea that, you know, that we wouldn't want to lift somebody up.
Well, I mean, it is so funny now because not infrequently I do have to cancel club work because I get some sort of job.
Well, you're a writer, and you're writing on... You're doing something now. I don't know what it is.
I'm working on Amazon's series of A League of Their Own.
But you mean A League of Their Own, the actual...
Yeah, they're adapting it into a TV series.
Oh, wow, how wonderful.
Which apparently they did in the 90s, but nobody watched. But, you know, just the thing of, like, you know, one club owner was like, well, if you cancel, that means you're someone we should be having here because you're getting work, you know?
I think so.
And stuff's going on for you. But, like, there was a whole world of stuff sort of, like, a level below that of just, like... there was a weekly show at the Gay and Lesbian Center. There was Josie's. There were a bunch of indie shows. And there were a bunch of, like random gigs where,
I used to work at the Holy City Zoo.
Oh, really?
That's where I went the most.
Holy City Zoo was before I started. That was before my time. That
Robin Williams is called.
Everybody had stories. You know, like, it was such an amazing place that, like, a bunch of really great comics came out of. Robin would... there was one open mic that he would come to, like, 2 or 3 times a year, and because of that, it was packed every weekend, and it was, like, one of the greatest...
Just that they would see him, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a thing that he did to help keep that like a vital community. You know, it was like a gift he was able to give to us.
Wow.
And it was really wonderful. And the couple of times that he ended up at one of these random little shows, it was like...
Did you meet him?
Yeah.
So did I.
Yeah.
Twice.
It was really magical, you know, to just sort of be reminded, even when, you know, you're working some random job and it doesn't seem like a realistic dream, to have this person come and treat you like a colleague, you know?
Very kind.
Yeah.
He was working at the Improv one night. I don't know if I was on or I was there or what was going on, but he went on stage and somebody came over and said, "Could you get me his autograph?" You know, and I said, "No, I don't know him." And they walked over to Robin and he said, "Hey, could I have your autograph?" He said, "I'm just about to go on. I can't."
Yeah.
And I just, he said, then they went back to me and they said, "You're a comedian, right?" I said, "Yeah, could you get me his autograph?" So I walked in the other room. I wrote down Robin Williams and I came back and gave it to him.
That's hilarious.
I've done that twice. Not for him, but once for Marshall Warfield. But the other time was I met him at a yogurt place on Melrose that I was getting yogurt for right before going to do a set at the Improv, and we walked and talked.
Oh.
And I was so nervous, I had no idea what we talked about.
That's hilarious.
Because I probably just babbled on.
The first time I saw him, there was a high school kid who had just started, or like who had been doing stand-up for a little bit, and he had his recorder out and he recorded it. And Robin like pointed it out and like sort of said, "You're not supposed to do that." And then he said,
recorded his stand-up.
Robin's set. And Robin like made fun of him, and then he said, "Go ahead, kid, sell that thing on eBay," because we had like eBay was brand new then. "Sell that thing on eBay and you can pay for college." And Edwin got like super embarrassed and threw the tape away, and we were like, "Dude, he told you that you could like sell this bootleg Robin Williams tape." It was lovely.
So let's start about your book. I started underlining things and tearing pages, and it was too much. There was so much.
That's so sweet.
It's called Guy BRANUM, My Life as a Goddess, and the foreword is by Mindy Kaling. And it's a memoir rather, through an unpopular culture. And it's got you looking, it's just hysterical, the cover. I won't tell people they have to buy it to look at it. And I have so many things to ask you about. I mean, the thing that really touched me the most. I mean, where did you grow up? You grew up in Yuba City.
Yeah.
Which I think I did a show at.
Oh, really? I would love to know how that went.
It was, you know what's so funny is all the shows that I did in that area.
Yeah.
Eureka.
Yeah.
Yuba City, all that kind of area, which was on the way. I forgot who booked it. It was either Paul Massier or Rick Farah. There were these string of one-nighters that you would do, and you'd go, if you were a headliner, you could bring, and I would bring my girlfriends with me. And we had more fun in the car and going to the movies during the day than we ever did on the shows.
Yeah.
Because it was just surviving.
Right. And that was such a good thing for me starting stand-up, having to go and do those road gigs in the Central Valley, because it really did teach you, like, when you're starting out with an audience not liking you, where do you go from there?
Or not understanding who you are.
Yeah. No.
Never seeing a gay guy. You know what Harvey Milk said? He said, "A gay man with power, ooh, that's dangerous."
Yeah.
And that's what they see. They don't know what the joke is other than we're victims.
Right. And like stand-up really is a weird authority game. And I remember I did this one show in Vallejo, and I essentially had to turn 20% of the audience truly against me to get the other 80% on my side. Oh, and it was rough, but it was fun.
I was always frightened.
Yeah.
Did I have fun? So I don't know. Because I just wrote my own book. I just finished.
Yeah. And
I wrote a whole chapter on all that kind of stuff. And it was during the time when I headlined everywhere, before the one-nighters, I have to say they scared the hell out of me. I was so nervous about getting beat up. Yeah. Because it was like total post-traumatic stress from PTSD from when I was a kid, that I couldn't feel. I had to just really work just to stay in the moment on stage. Yeah. Didn't realize it at the time. Comedy clubs, I had more fun when I was headlining all those. I did that for like 20 years.
There was only one situation. I was at a comedy club in Fairfield when Fairfield had a comedy club. And I was sitting outside and a dude just screamed faggot at me. And I had this moment of pure fear, and then I looked up and realized it was a comic who was my friend from San Francisco. And that was delightful.
Did you ever have Fred Phelps pick at you?
No.
Oh, 4 times.
No, Jason, that's pretty impressive.
Yes, 4 times. He really loved me. This is the thing that, that I loved about what you said about your book, too, that this is a survival guide.
Uh-huh.
It's not a memoir. It's a survivor guide, really.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's not going to be great stories and this is what happened to me, and how great, and now I'm on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're only 38. Am I allowed to say that?
I'm 43. 42.
Oh, well, you were 38 somewhere in the book.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in the book that I read that.
Yes.
So you're still very young. You're at the midpoint of your life. So
Yeah.
you haven't had that. The other. I think I always say the 20s are figuring out who you are. The 30s are practicing.
Yeah.
And now the 40s, you're like being it now.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing is about what we do. Sometimes I will get like envious or like feel weird about not having done more earlier than I've done. And I think it is just having to really accept that like the world had to change for us to have.
I think about this all the time.
I'm sure.
I think about this now more than ever because. So tell me, you were a lawyer first.
Yeah.
Then you started doing stand-up.
Yeah.
So you actually got a law degree.
Yes.
Can I just say something to you?
Sure.
You are insane. I mean, I can barely tease somebody's hair. My mother was a beautician. My father had been in the Holocaust, not the camps, but the ghettos. So I barely, my father could barely speak English, and my mother, it was just poor Brooklyn trash. So
where was your father from, man?
Poland.
Okay.
Poland.
Yeah.
So. My father, until the day he died, spelled my name Jayson Stuard.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? He would just do that. So when I think the idea that you've been a lawyer, it's just, I mean, you went to the whole, doesn't it take a long time?
It took 3 years. It was just what my mom was telling me to do.
3 years?
It was
after 4 years of college?
Yes. It was what my mom was telling me to do, and I did what my mom wanted me to do. So, like, it really took being in law school and being, like, the breakdown after that and sort of saying, I can't pretend to be straight anymore, that sort of, like, freed me from it. But I still finished law school because I, like, was...
Well, it's the difference between ages and us, really, honestly, because you I'm assuming you must have read the book, The Best Little Boy in the World.
No, I have not.
It's one of the gay books that, I guess, in my day we all read. And you, of course, wanted to please the mom more than anything and be mad at the dad.
Right.
Yeah, same thing here. And it's just interesting because I didn't go to college because I was gay. I couldn't see it. Could not see how to go back into an institution where everybody made fun of me and tortured me.
Oh, that's
could not
interesting.
see the idea, and you didn't talk about it then, so I couldn't see the idea of going back and going, hi, I couldn't see that I would meet somebody like you who's my age, that we could go through the same thing together and be friends. See, but you probably created a whole social network of friends.
I mean, not like I wasn't out the whole time I was an undergrad. It wasn't until law school, and that was so stupid because I was an undergrad at Berkeley, which is like super gay college.
Oh yeah,
right next to San Francisco. But let me tell you something truly crazy. Okay, there's a bisexual comic who is like 10 years younger than I am, and adorable, the most beautiful cheekbones. And he like had a career he started stand up when he was in high school, and he had a career that was going really, really nicely. But then he was like trying to figure out how to come out on stage. He like had started when he was like super in the closet, and he ended up quitting stand up and going to business school because he thought that was a safer place for him to be gay or bisexual than stand up. And that
maybe so
to me was, but also kind of just insane to me.
Well, maybe so, but I think of it this way. How old is he now?
He's like 30.
Yeah, I think he's right. Because I think the stand-up world for openly gay men has, first I have to say, it saved my life.
Yeah.
I would not have a career if I didn't do that as an actor.
Yeah.
I would not have been able to make any money. I would have been nothing. I mean, I really would have. But I think that now it's in this weird place where you're at, but you're also a writer. Your main income is writing. Am I correct?
Yes. And I mean, that is kind of the thing that...
And you're hosting of your show, which is called...
Talk Show the Game Show.
Talk Show on
True TV. But it is the thing of we have to make stuff for ourselves. We can't just wait around for the industry to need someone like us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's always been true. And I think it's less true now, but also it's a good skill set to have. You know?
Let me
Like,
spit off a couple credits so people know.
okay.
You wrote on the Mindy Kaling show for years and years and
Yes.
years.
I wrote on the Mindy Project. I wrote for Chelsea Lately. I wrote for Awkward on MTV. I was
Oh, good. You can do it.
in the romantic comedy No Strings Attached.
With?
Mindy Kaling.
But who were the big stars?
Oh,
Natalie Portman
and Ashton Kutcher.
It was a really wonderful film.
It was really fun. Like, it was really fun because...
It's a big studio movie. It's so
Yes.
different than anything probably you've ever done.
No, it was like... It was really crazy because it was a big studio movie. And also, I was in always sort of, like, ensemble scenes with people, like, around my age, a little bit younger, but, like, fun people. So...
The best way to really be in a movie the first time.
Yes. Like, it was, like, relaxed and fun, and you, like, forget... what you're doing, you know?
Which is the art of being that's the best acting, always is to have those little moments.
Yeah. I was,
Please.
So, I went there and for my first day, and this other girl and I showed up, and they were like, are you the actors? And I was like, well, I'm a comedian, I'm not an actor. And then
so you're going to be doing stand-up in the movie?
And then a second time that day, somebody said something, and I was like, oh, I'm not a comedian, or I'm not an actor. And then the other actress who was in it with me, Olivia Thirlby, she looked at me and she said, then why are you here? And I was like, all right, good point. And so
But you were feeling like, hey, I've never done this.
Yes.
Right. And I heard the story because it's in the book, and I think I heard you. I think I heard you write about it. It was in an interview somewhere too, that you said the producer, the director's wife,
yes,
dug you on Chelsea Lately.
Yes.
So for those at home, and I'm looking at the computer now, talking to it, like you can hear me, like you can see me looking at you. That's what happens a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it's not anything less. I used to think that was less.
Yeah.
But really, it's the better thing when you were offered a part rather than having to, audition.
And I also think you're a very talented and experienced actor who really has, in so many situations, poured yourself into a role that was not you-shaped. And
because there is no role you-shaped.
Right.
For me.
But the thing is I'm somebody who's basically spent my career, hacking out little spots for me to be in. And I think I've been trying to accept over the past couple of years that my job in an audition is to figure out how I would do this,
There's two ways to it.
Yeah.
There's two ways around it. You can either do that.
Yeah.
Or, what, I just feel like I'm mentoring now, but that's what I do all the time, is that around 12 years ago when I stopped touring, really just said, hey, I had my special, and I thought, this is it. I thought, I'm going to go back to class and see what it is to be an older person, because I didn't feel like it, and see what it was like to really work on myself. Because there really was no roadmap for that.
Well, also, one of the things is I think stand-ups are reticent or judgmental about taking acting classes.
I was never, because I started as an actor.
And they were very good for me. And I also think it's been a while since I took an improv class, but I also think improv classes are really good for me to, open up my head. Because, stand-up, you're just so good at seeing what's going wrong. That you're always identifying that.
Or you look at a room, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And you feel like when you're going to go on. I was at the Laugh Factory the other night in Long Beach, and the host didn't show up. And I had to go on first.
Oh, Jesus.
Which I hadn't done in a million years.
Yeah.
On a Saturday night with a full crowd.
Yeah.
And it was like, I got to pick this room up. And,
right.
And that room fits, for those at home don't know, it fits 500 people. And maybe 100 people were there for the first show. So it wasn't the biggest crowd ever. And you have to go, okay, I'm going to know that the show I did the improv just the night before that killed when I was in the middle and had the killer spot.
Yeah.
This is not going to be that experience. And you have to let that go and know that you have to introduce them to you, and you have to get them on your side.
I mean, the terrible thing about hosting is you're probably not going to have a good set. What you're supposed to do is get them...
It wasn't even hosting, because the host showed up after me. It was just crazy.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, right.
It's a thankless business. I do enjoy that.
Yes. If you think you have one of this, you think you have a great set.
Yeah.
And last night the set at the Improv was like, and then the next day, God goes, "Don't get too happy."
But have
you had that where you had two sets in a row?
Absolutely. And the opposite is always true as well. That no matter how bad things go, there's another set.
And you're not as good as your best set. Have you gotten past that?
What do you mean?
You're not as good as your last set. You don't have to keep.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, there's a point. How many years do you have?
Oh, I'm like 15 years
old. So you're 15 years old now.
Yeah.
I'm 35.
That's
in comic years.
I used to tear myself apart about sets and just sort of, that first year or two. And then you're like, it's fine,
Really? You took a year or two to do that?
Yeah.
It's because you're only half Jewish. The other stuff, you were full Jew. You would do the, it would take you forever to learn all this stuff. It took me at least 10 years. So this book, I have to say, it was a really, really welcome surprise. It's just wonderful.
Oh, thanks so much.
It's funny. It's insightful. It's so well written. It almost made me toss mine. So many things that I wanted to talk to you about. But first, before I go into the book, and you must do it, you also work with Billy Eichner?
Billy Eichner, yeah.
Eichner, yes. I don't know how to say anybody's name. On Funny or Die's Billy on the Street. And he's a force.
It was so wonderful because it was also, I was used to being in writer. I was always the only gay guy in the writer's room. And then you're in a writer's room and everyone is a gay guy. Or a woman who knows more about musical theater than any gay man ever will.
Wow.
And it was just, it was so much fun. Like, it was so much fun to just, like...
You did it for 3 years?
Yeah. Like, the types of bits and things that you're, like, no one would ever like this. Like, it was wonderful because if it made the show, it was wonderful. And if it didn't make the show, he still made you feel... like the funniest and the best for doing it for him. One of the best things was he came on Talk Show, the game show, and there had been something I had pitched for his show, and he was like, this is a little niche. And so when he came on my show, I made him play it, and it was very fun. I would give a name and a one-line description, and you had to say if it was a Meryl Streep role or an American Girl doll. And it was just like, that job was just like coming up with random bullshit like that all day long. And it was like super fun.
And they had a group of people to do this.
Yes, and it was like wonderful because
Who else was on? Anybody else that people would
like Joel Kim Booster, John Early, Louis Vertel. So like all of the like...
Those are all New York comics, I'm guessing.
Well, no, Louis is here and Joel has moved here now.
Oh,
and John has too. I mean, it's basically like the glorious twinks of comedy, though they're aging out of their twinkdom as time does go on. But they're like sort of, basically there's this like crop of younger gay male comics who came up, a lot of them on the Brooklyn scene, but some here as well.
Were you living in New York for those years?
Yeah, so for that I had to move, twice for jobs I had to go to New York. I was not a fan. But have you been here the whole time, or did you?
I lived in New York only short. When I was in the early '80s, I lived there for a couple months, and then I really only went there to work.
Yeah,
and go and visit and see shows, and I did movies there, and did stand up there. And never really, I never really got a job for too long of a time that I'd have to stay there. Everything was always short.
It was fun. Like both jobs were essentially a year, and. Because, like, for the first 2 years that I worked for Billy on the Street, I just, like, sent stuff in and, like, got on, like, meetings on the phone sometimes. But then he was, like, come
so
out
folks
for
don't know
season.
that at home. What they do on a lot of talk shows is they have comedians what they call being joke writers, and they get to send things up, and they do this all the time. This happens on the Tonight Show. All the big shows have them. And then if they want you to become, a larger part of the show, and you become more of a day to day.
So then so that was the first season, and then the second time I did it, I was. The tail end of a job I had in 2013 was in New York, and so then I just stayed on, worked on Billy on the Street, and then all of 2015.
He's just sort of zoomed into the next place.
Yeah.
Which is sort of wonderful. I'm so excited. He once cast me, or I guess okayed me being cast in a comedy video he did about Taylor Swift. And I played his 49-year-old boyfriend. or basically Taylor Swift's 49-year-old boyfriend, but yet he was Taylor Swift.
But this was for Funny or Die?
Yeah. I was the only... Yeah. But I was another one of my interesting careers being cut out almost completely. But it was still fun. He was so serious about it. which was really interesting. He was not overly talkative, but I respect everybody has their own process.
Yes.
No judgment here, but he was very, much in his space.
He can be very serious about things, but it was the wonderful thing about working with him was he always just had such joy about what we were doing and what we were writing for him that it was interesting to see that and be like, that's the kind of boss I should be on my own show. And also like you just like try to learn things from the ability to get creativity out of people is not easy. Like having people be on enough but directed enough to do what you need them to do. And it was...
Well, somebody told me once when I started headlining comedy clubs, and I wish I could remember who it was because I want to give them credit, is that you treat everyone exactly the same. From the guy that's washing dishes in the kitchen to the person who booked you there to the owner of the club to a fan.
That's astoundingly hard.
I didn't find it after a while.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Unless some of the audience members were, when they're really drunk,
Yeah.
But because, most of the people in comedy clubs were bar owners.
Yeah.
They were not that different than kitchen help at times.
Yeah.
In terms of their anything. I mean, it was interesting. I worked in did you ever tour like in major comedy clubs? For a long time, did you do that whole headlining thing?
I mean, I tour some. Like I did like about 6 months of touring last year, and then have like a couple of months lined up.
What kind of venues?
Clubs, like generally the clubs that like have altier sensibilities. So like Laughing Skull in Atlanta, I'm going back to at the end of October, and
well, you have a website that everybody can go to, right? Which is called
GuyBranum.com. But like I've never
BRANUM.
Yes.
For those of you who are as dyslexic as me.
Yes, it's never been my bread and butter. Like the only time that I was ever just like paying the bills off of touring was I did colleges for like a year. And that was...
How was that experience?
It was really fun because you were just like driving around. I would just book a bunch of shows in like a region. And it's also sort of like clustered in the spring and the fall. So you would just like...
What year did you do it?
It was 2011.
Oh, so you still had GPS.
Yes.
Try doing it without.
I mean...
I don't even know how we did it without.
I think about that so frequently. Like, Judy Gold was telling a story about, like, having a map.
You had your map. You had your fax paper that was the rolled up.
Yes.
You had your cell phone. Can you hear me now? With a thing walking around.
Yeah.
And you would... I remember driving by... A lot of the schools are in little, like very pastoral areas, little towns where there's nothing in. And I don't tell you how many schools I drove by, didn't even see it,
Well, when I started stand-up, I would have to print out a map from, like, a Yahoo Maps.
Yes.
And follow that. So I at least remember that.
I did that, and I did it in Canada. I did colleges way into probably 2005. 2015, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean...
Until I sort of aged out.
Well, they have a good deal of money, but it's also nice if, like, you can be co-sponsored by the Campus Gay and Lesbian Organization or whatever.
That's the key thing is co-sponsored because there's a certain weirdness in colleges for, back again to the whole gay thing.
Yeah.
The gay groups don't have enough money to bring them by themselves, and they don't have. Do you find that a lot of gay people come?
Yes. Generally, I found that like the gay organizations had like let people know that it was going on. Different schools, like some of those schools that are in the middle of nowhere, everyone at the goddamn school came, and it was insane.
That was gay, even people that were not even in the school with them, right?
Oh, I mean, there were a fair number of times that people would just like I did this one show in Idaho, and it was mostly just people from the town. But one of the weirdest ones, I was in Kansas, and it was a very well attended show, and then I started doing.
Oh, that's my phone in the other room. Tell the story. I'm going to go shut that off really quick.
I started doing crowd work, and then I found out that I was part of Campus Diversity Week. So So there were kids who were like had to come as a requirement for their class, and I was like, oh God, that's the worst reason to have someone in your audience.
And you'd have all sorts of diversity.
But it was the sweetest. Like the little children from the campus gay and lesbian organization at Fort Hays State in Kansas were like, "Let's go out." And so we went
Always.
out, and I was asking them questions, and I remember something happened, and I was like, "Where?" I hadn't even thought about it before, but it was like, "Where do you buy lube? Like, where do you buy? Like, where do you buy like?" And they were like, "Yeah, we have to go to the sex." Like, there was a porn shop out by the highway, and that was where they went for, anything other than KY. And I was like, okay,
Isn't that weird?
it's amazing.
How people survive. Well, you grew up in one of those towns, right?
Yes.
Tell us about your upbringing.
It
Scared me.
It's a tiny little farm town about an hour north of Sacramento.
Do you speak to your parents? I just have to know.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good.
Well, I lost my dad like 2 years ago.
Oh,
But
sorry.
my mom, it's been like a journey, but we talk. And things are good now.
You're half Jewish.
Yes, my mom is Jewish.
Which makes you really Jewish,
yes.
to us. But
yes.
the Catholics, it's the father.
Uh-huh.
So if your father was Catholic, then you're half Catholic. So
my father is not Catholic. My father was a Southern Baptist. But, it was just like a weird time. And one thing that was funny, I don't really talk about it in the book, but like, my mom worked at a flower shop that was owned by a gay male couple. And then there was a gay male couple who owned an orchard, like behind our orchard. They were like physicians from the Bay Area who had decided that like this was going to be like their second act in life dream of having a walnut orchard. And everyone just called them the faggots. And I was like, how much did those dudes have to hate all of these people around them?
You talk about this in your book. I mean, the amount of abuse was so blatant, and you're so much younger than me that you think that the couple, I can't even say it out loud because I have trouble saying my own age, but the lack of time changing in these towns, are so crazy to me that you think of the difference our ages, and so close to San Francisco, and there just seemed to be no involvement in the place that you grew up in, and it sounded really, really rough.
And it's not that much better now. I mean, it's very much not better now. Sometimes I will go and like look at my hometown paper and see like what the recent editorials have been about how the gays are ruining America, and it's weird. But one of the things I think, did you see Lady Bird?
Oh, I loved it.
I thought it did such a good job of sort of explaining the way that being so close to San Francisco means Sacramento and the environments have to not be that.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is about this sort of like,
or it just didn't even matter that it was like we were not connected to anything.
Well, yes, because like if you are going to be interesting or gay or educated, you might as well just go to like San Francisco. But with that comes risk. Will you be able to make it? Will you like ruin yourself financially? And so everybody just has to like keep their eyes down and know their place. And that was really what I was raised with. And I got a lot of hostility for all of the various ways that I just like wanted to look at the bigger world.
So you're obviously, just to read the book, you're so educated and you're so smart. I mean,
That's so sweet. Thank you.
But it's the truth. I mean, the book is so erudite at times, and you go off on these tangents and things, and it's just really fascinating. And even I guess this shows where my head's at. The thing that was Bewitched was also one of my favorite shows.
Yes, of course.
But I actually watched it when it was originally on. I don't remember the black and white shows. I'm too old, too young for that. But and certainly I used to call it Gay-witched.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody on the show was gay except for the first Darren and Elizabeth Montgomery. And
yes.
I mean, that was about it, right?
Yeah.
Maurice was gay, and Dora was gay, Uncle Arthur was gay. I think, I don't know if Larry Tate was.
I would love to understand that writer's room a whole lot better. Who were those guys, you know?
I think it was usually a bunch of old Jews that came from, Our Show of Shows or Jack Benny or all those other shows
I know,
before.
but like who was, like where was the impetus coming from to have such a queer sensibility to it? Though I think...
I know what it is. I think Jewish sensibility and gay sensibility are very close.
Absolutely, because they're about a semi-invisible outsider status. And yeah.
See the way you say it, the way I say it? You sound like you went to college. I'm the one that grew up in the big city. You're the one that grew up in buttfuck, whatever it
Yes.
is. And I'm the one that sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. No wonder you're more successful.
Yeah, I just think, like, watching that show, and, like, it both represented this kind of suburban normalcy that seemed, like, neat to me, but also these people who were, like, shitting on it and owning it, and I just remember being so, like, oh, God. Or, like, I always got mad at Green Acres because it was always shitting on Ava Gabor for, like, wanting fanciness, and I just was so in love with all of those mink coats.
and having Ralph the lesbian.
Yeah. Oh, God, I forgot about that.
But you also don't probably remember, because you're too young, the whole show was really about black and white people.
Oh, really?
Oh, there was a lot of undercurrent of civil rights of what was going on at that time. That the idea that two different kinds of people would be together, a cat and a dog would fall in love. Or
oh, that's interesting.
The whole thing. And, dear God, when are you going to fire Ralph and whatever her brother's name were? The worst fucking people ever. They didn't finish that house for 5 years. You know, the closet, it was open. I mean, dear God, it was like they lived in some sort of half, crazy house.
It's so funny because those like rural comedy shows that were like popular in the 60s, I kind of hated all of the ones that weren't Green Acres. I hated because I hated joking about ignorant trash, because I was like, I have enough ignorant trash in my life. But Green Acres at least sort of had an eye on,
they were all connected.
Yes. Well,
they were in this made-up town, and Sam Drucker was sort of the thread through everything. It was Beverly Hillbillies, because Granny knew him. They live way out there.
Yeah.
And Granny, apparently, Ryan dated him.
Uh-huh.
It was Frank Candy. God, that guy was always working. And then there was Petticoat Junction, which was the oldest one,
yes,
with Beat Benedict and all these pretty girls.
Yes.
And then there was Green Acres. They were all in these fake towns, that didn't exist. And then it ruined me terribly, because all I could think of was get me to Mayberry, where everybody's so nice. And then when I started to tour, the people were fucking awful.
Oh, that's hilarious. So you thought little towns would be like...
I was stunned. I was sure.
That's so
I thought
funny.
You guys were just the nicest.
No.
Little did I realize that you were the most,
Though there is the way that, like, in the Midwest, they at least have sort of, like, community and sense of, like, responsibility for each other. And stuff like that, but in California, none of that stuff exists. Because
no, we grew up. You're all on your own. We don't have any sense of pride about it. We don't care. We don't judge you. I always say it's free to be you and me. The difference between living in a small town somewhere else and living here, or the difference of living anywhere other than living in California, I would say, "Hey, guy, that's Myra down the street. Oh, she wears her bra outside her clothes. Hi, Myra." and if in your town, the difference would be, "Oh, hey, Jason, that's Myra. She lives down the street. She wears her bra outside her clothes. Don't talk to her."
Right.
And we would just, here it's free to be you and me.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what I love about living in Los Angeles. And now politically, with everything that's happened, this is the place where I want to be. I know that I will not leave California for the rest of my life.
I mean, it is nice to know that, like, whatever shit is going down right now, at least I have a state government that will try to protect me.
Dear God. Well, I have to say, your connection to Andorra on Bewitched was just so... have you ever looked up Andorra on Agnes Moorehead? Oscar nominee, 4 times, I think.
Of course, yes.
Have you ever looked her up,
Yes, I mean, a huge fan.
Did you ever see her on Password? With this weird accent? She talks like this.
Oh, really?
Yes, almost. She was playing the part of Andorra. I mean, or the part of, Agnes Moorehead.
I'm a huge fan of her performance in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, because...
Do you know that I did the parody movie with Nick Stoll?
No!
And that I played Mr. Wills?
No!
It's right behind you.
Oh, wow! When was that?
3 years ago.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I need to see that.
Well, you can see it on iTunes.
But she's just... So who plays the Agnes Moorehead role?
Mick Stoll.
Oh, really?
Marla Jean Merman, and I don't know if you know Matthew Martin, San Francisco, very big Betty Davis impersonator.
No.
He's made a whole career about playing her in almost everything.
Oh, wonderful.
And he's just brilliant.
Yeah.
I'll show you a clip before you leave. He'll drop dead.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah. And Rolla Jean was just exceptional to work
Yeah.
with. If you guys at home don't know, Rolla Jean Merman is probably one of our iconic drag personalities and a brilliant actor.
Like, it's so interesting, those well-established queens from before Drag Race. Jackie Beat.
So
and
different.
Well, and also just sort of, it makes me a little sad that all of these people who think they're so excited about drag, it's like, but what do you know of Peaches Christ? You know, what do you know of Miss Coco Peru?
Miss Bunny.
Or Miss Bunny.
I mean, it's a shame that RuPaul doesn't want to do this, but there should be a whole show dedicated to all of them.
I mean, I think that would be wunderful. Like,
it would be so much better. They all have so much surgery on the show. I tried to watch it. I couldn't tell one person from the next.
Lady Bunny has been on the show a couple of times,
yeah.
But I feel like most of the established queens have some sort of beef or issue with Ru.
Oh yeah, because he hasn't supported them.
Yeah.
And I think when you know, this is something I believe very, very strongly. When you move up in the elevator, Jack Lemmon said this.
Yeah.
Take people with you.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me, and I've done that my whole career.
And, I think that that's what Ru is doing with Drag Race. I think it's just...
But it's a lot easier to do with people that have started rather than people that really have broken the ground with him.
It's very true. I mean, I will always be astoundingly sympathetic for RuPaul, just because seeing RuPaul on MTV Spring Break 1993 or whenever it was just like an astounding moment for me.
He was just it.
Yeah.
He was, I opened for him in Minneapolis at Gay Pride. It was him, myself, and Taylor Dane.
Uh-huh.
And he came in character, just the whole thing. And he walked in, and all the people there, people don't know at home, when you do Pride, it's usually people who don't do this for a living who do all this.
Yeah.
They do it once a year. It's a volunteer thing. They were so excited to meet him. And he walked in, and I said, "Hey, Ru, hey, Jason, I had just done a radio show in New York. This is right before Drag Race."
Uh-huh.
And he was just, hadn't his career had been sort of leveling off a little. And it was really, really incredible to see him in performance and how skilled he was and how completely confident in his ability to get the crowd on his side. It was just a thing to watch.
Yes. Taylor Dane, she works some prides.
Extraordinary.
Yeah,
kind.
I love those performers who are just like working the Pride circuit every summer. Like, my very first Pride in Minneapolis, it was Crystal Waters.
Did you do the one with the big where they do it outside and it's like in a shoehorn?
Yes.
Isn't that the greatest Pride to do?
Yes.
That's what I did with Ru.
Yes. Oh no, I'm talking about this was the first Pride I ever went to as a gay.
Just went.
Yes. Oh. No, but another thing about starting out in San Francisco was a year and a half, 2 years in, suddenly I was having to go out and host Vallejo Pride and all of these little prides in the Central Valley. And you're like, why are they having a pride parade there? And then you go and you see this world of people with children, or who, the only kinds of gays we can understand are white architects who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And then you see these people who really need legal protections, and it's oh, okay. Let's stop imagining that
they don't all look like queer as folk.
Right.
And that was, but I had been doing it since I came out in 93, so I started doing gay stuff around 92, 93.
Yeah.
And it was in education. I didn't even know. I went to school in Los Angeles. I danced in a circle, wore a tie-dye shirt, and they gave me a diploma. So I didn't even know that Oklahoma, where it was. Have you toured in the prides? Have you done a lot of them?
Yeah.
And you just don't know what's going to happen because you're outside.
Well, you're outside, and also
you can't just tell jokes.
And it's right, and that's one of the things about gay comedy and about drag queen comedy that has to be respected. Is you are talking to drunk people who try to fuck, and being able to manage that audience, it takes a lot. And as you say, it's being organized by people who don't do this. So even if it is a bar that's decided to have stand-up, like, they don't know what they're doing, and if it is sort of like...
Let's do it for 3 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, because...
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
Let's do a 3-hour show. You'll do an hour and a half, and then we'll do the award. No, this is what we'll do the awards. We'll do the dinner. We'll have this Broadway singer come and do 6 songs. Then you can come and do your hour.
Yeah.
And I would say no. It's never. They're not going to want to see me after.
The nice things are, you want to know what's also anyone fucking making you perform Sunday night at Pride. It's like no, I had to learn that's not okay. But like a nice Friday night show before everybody started, like
before they're exhausted.
Yes.
Yeah, a show after. Yeah, I want them to come and see a show after they've walked for 3 hours in a parade and they're so drunk or they have heat stroke, you know, and half of them don't show up, and it's crazy.
Magnificent.
Yes. But I do have to say, there is the feeling of performing for your own and doing well. There's nothing like it. It's a whole different thing to me because having accepted from your gay brothers and sisters, it really means a lot to me.
Well, I think one of the most fun gay shows to do in Los Angeles is Aaron Foley's show at the Improv because it is mostly
more women. I would say it's 80-20.
Yeah, it's like middle-aged, professional, intelligent women, and there are so many jokes that like I love so much, and to most audiences would just never land. And those bitches are there for it, and it's wonderful.
That's where I met you. That's the first time I remember. Is you came over to me and you said hello. My name is Guy, and I don't know what you said because you were so nice I couldn't hear it.
I probably said that I respected you so much, and I saw you very early in my career. And
I always get nervous when people are so nice.
Yes.
And I remember doing a show there and seeing you on stage, and I thought, oh my God, I gotta watch out. This guy's killer.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
You just. That's all. I don't remember what you talked about. That this guy just killed it.
But one of the things that's hard is like, gay guys don't go to stand up because if you're going out for an evening, you're gonna go somewhere and get drunk and dance, and
it's the only group that doesn't support its own. Though it's better than it used to be.
It's better. It's definitely. And I have to tell you, like
they want their women or they want their drag performers.
And a significant part of that is
it's the only group that does this.
But I think we are so uncomfortable with looking at ourselves. Like
it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, it really is. We're just not used to it, and it makes us really scared. But
does it do that for you still at your age? Do you feel that? It's hard to ask because you're a comedian, but the idea of going, hey, I want to go see Sam Harris sing instead of going to see, Celine Dion or whoever it is.
Because but the thing is, we all know what the relationship is to a woman, and understanding what it is with a guy. I think I'm better about it about some things. I'm not great at it when it comes to music, though. Like hearing Troye Sivan's "Bloom." Are you familiar with it?
No, tell me.
It's a pop song about bopping, and
is he a straight guy or gay guy?
He's a gay guy, and it's just sort of.
He's a pop singer.
Yes.
Wow. I'm gonna write Troy Bloom.
Troye Sivan. Yeah, the song is called
Bloom. Troye Sivan.
But like, just sort of having this pop song that was specifically about the kind of sex that I have was like, like
we're not used to that.
We're not used to that.
But to see, I remember seeing Sam Harris live around 5 years ago. He was touring in a show, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
He was just, and then I saw him again do a sort of stand-up kind of musical show. And this guy, I remember one of the kids that I mentored dragged me to see Adam Lampert.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to see him. He's doing all this glitter rock stuff and Freddie Mercury stuff. And I said, I like him doing standards. I like him really singing. And his voice was, he was, I couldn't even believe, he blew me,
but there's something,
blew the roof off.
And one of the reasons I don't end up listening to gay guys as musicians is that they are so frequently doing like this mournful, contemplative sort of stuff, and I just like shitty pop. But also,
you like shitty pop?
I love shitty pop.
Oh, okay.
But also, like, there's something so funny about us construing like glittery glam rock as not for us. When like one of my later chapters in the book is about Bohemian Rhapsody as like
I've not got to that.
yeah, but I mean,
I just got the book. It took so long for the book to get to me
but
through Amazon.
the thing is like Queen, like there's nothing queerer than Queen, but somehow we've all been convinced that it's for straight guys at a basketball game. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like the Village People.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and there is the way, but I feel like with any of that stuff, there is the way that like for so much of our lives, if you saw something that was like that gay, you pick up your stuff and you move so that you know.
You don't see black people, Latinos, Jews,
yeah.
American Indians, Asian, any other group don't do what we do.
Yeah.
I always say, could you see, you know, I know Barry Manilow on the Olivia cruise? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it's interesting, and I wonder if you feel this way. This is a question I've always that I ask to most of the gay men on my show that come on. That the idea that there isn't a place for us to be who we are in this society because we don't yet exist completely as who we are, other than a victim. And
yes.
That's okay once in a while for a role, but I'm talking about in terms of being a stand-up. You know, there's always got to be something, because now you go through this process of when I came out, talking about being gay was really like, I mean, people like Mark Davis, who I thought was brilliant, and Frank, I forgot his last name, and Jaffe Cohen.
Frank Tuccaro?
Not Frank Tuccaro, before Frank. Is somebody he's passed. God, I wish I remembered his name. God forgive me. Jaffe Cohen, who was so funny.
Yeah.
And then what happened is people would come on and they stopped talking about being gay, and it became almost like a bad thing. You couldn't talk about the evolvedness. And people were still laughing, mind you.
Yeah.
And to me, your first job is to be funny.
Yeah.
But that's not anymore.
Right.
The first job is to be having this point of view. I never not had a point of view.
Right.
So it never was, and it wasn't just about being gay. It was about being Jewish or being not fitting in, or everything about me that didn't. I still feel like I don't fit into anything.
One thing that was really interesting is the first time I was in New York for work, some kid asked me to do a show in Brooklyn, and I did it, and I got there, and it was like 80% little gay boys dressed in the most ridiculous, they were wearing nets. Like, it was just very Brooklyn.
Nets?
Just sort of like, like a mesh shirt that like...
Oh, okay, yes.
And...
Oh, very, very Saturday Night Fever.
But also just sort of like, Etsy, like, Lena Dunham kind of like edginess.
Ah, okay.
And they were so ready to watch stand-up and so ready to see gay guys talk about gayness. And it's interesting sort of like the threads and energies that are running through these younger gay comics.
Yeah, it's
because
the younger guys are great.
They're doing really interesting things. Like there's some of them in New York who like clearly worship certain female comics and are really sort of like echoing them. But more than anything, it's just cool that they are carving out a space where gay guys and cool gay guys think that it is cool to go and be part of that.
What do you think of Drew Michael?
Oh,
I just saw that special.
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Could you get through it?
No.
I couldn't either. And he obviously has something to say. And then I watched some of his stand-up. He's obviously funny.
Yes.
But the Carmichael is the same way to me. It's what we used to call, and forgive me guys, because everybody, you're obviously very talented, but we used to call it comedy that wasn't that funny. We would wait, minutes between jokes. And if you did that when I was doing comedy, you would be fired.
One time, Drew and I were on a show at the Creek in the Cave.
He's so cute.
And there was almost no one there. Exactly.
Which is so weird.
He like talked extensively. He was just talking about how gross gay guys were in like a way that wasn't the worst, but was still annoying to me.
What was his purpose for that?
I don't know. I just remember saying to him, like, it's surprising to me that you're so grossed out by people sucking dicks because I just watched you suck a dick on this stage. Or something to that effect. We have since, like, improved our relationship. But I do think...
Well, there's an uncomfortableness.
Yes.
There's an uncomfortableness with them because they don't know what to do with us being in power. It's, again, the same thing that Harvey Milk would say. Being a stand-up is a powerful position.
I just don't, like... too much of my career has been getting on stage and telling straight guys to stop it, but also you've got to. But with that special, I think removing the audience for me is a real problem because the honesty of the audience and the audience's reaction is why you're allowed to say the things that you are, you know, and there's. I wanted that, you know. It's so funny that like so many mainstream comics were so critical of Nanette, and then this thing,
Really?
yeah. A lot of those New
This
York
is Hannah
Gatsby.
Gatsby, yeah.
Yeah. You know, a lot of those like New York
Oh, they were
comedy
okay.
sellerish were like, oh, this is the the end of stand up comedy, and it's like, how is this different from Nanette? You know, Drew Michaels special.
Well, because he's a boy, and boys can do anything they want, especially now. What's really interesting about male comics is that they're getting to be good looking. We never had good looking comics.
It's true.
They all look like us. And if you were attractive, you could be attractive, but you could never be really good looking. It just wasn't, it was not their thing. And then we would, because it started with women getting prettier.
Yes.
And then we have the whole slew of those who came out. And with all due respect, of course, to Amy Schumer, who I think is terrific.
Yeah.
You know, not that she isn't pretty, but she's not that kind of pretty. And that's why she moved, I think, from the pack and became so successful, because she's laugh out funny. I don't even think she's really hit. She's so young.
I mean, the worst part...
She hasn't even hit the best of her yet.
The worst part about little gay boys is they can be truly deeply attractive and still have something to say because the world has beaten them up for other reasons.
Yes, you have that card.
Yes. But
same thing with being a Jew or being black or being Latino.
Yes.
But when you're just...
Joel Kim Booster and Mateo Lane essentially don't wear shirts anymore, and that is making it very difficult for me. Like,
in their show?
No. I'm just like, Joel wears a lot of half shirts.
In his show.
And it's delightful. Do you know who Mateo Lane is?
I don't know them. Forgive me. It's terrible. You're educating
He's very funny. But you should follow his Instagram.
Is he the Asian?
No, Joel Kim Booster is Asian.
Yes, I've seen him a lot. He's very funny.
He's very funny, but Mateo Lane is like has a perfect little body and is always Instagramming it. And I'm like, how am I supposed to treat you as a colleague? But you know,
it does, to me. It does seem odd, but it is what Comedy Central is interested in now. They're interested in that kind of thing. But also,
things have shifted in that when I got to Los Angeles, if you were a passingly attractive white guy, straight white guy, there was all the hosting work in the world for you. And now things have changed. Like a very good friend of mine, he created a show that a network bought, and he had done so much hosting work over the course of his career, he was assuming he would host it, and then the network was like, no, like, we can't have another white guy hosting things. Or I don't think they said it to him that specifically.
Wow.
But they got, somebody else to host it.
I'm sorry for him, but thank God.
Yeah. And I do think, it's a world that's embracing more things and also understanding that a Zoftic black woman doesn't just have to be the sassy sidekick on a sitcom. She can be a host. She can be a political correspondent. Different. People can fit different roles. I'm glad that
we're going through this resurgence of things changing, and I hope that gay men go the same way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people who cast or who produce or book or everything, hopefully they'll let the next crop of people come in and everybody won't have to be so beautiful.
Well, one of the interesting dynamics is that those people are so frequently gay men. And I think that gay male casting directors or talent execs...
It's over 40, under 40. I really believe that.
How do you mean?
I think that people over 40 seem to have more of a problem with people getting out of their box.
Absolutely.
People under 40 have no problem at all.
Yes.
They don't. I say as an actor, and I've been very lucky in the last 10 years to work a lot and playing all different kinds of roles.
No, and it is very much...
Most of them are people who are under, or foreign, or people who are somewhat, what's the word? Somewhat not affected by this.
Yeah.
Because of their minority themselves.
I just know that so many times, like, an older gay male talent exec has just been like, no, to me, where...
You find that too.
Yeah.
And I hate saying it out loud because
Yeah.
these are my people.
Right.
And I really hate saying it, but there's something about that that's so disturbing.
Well,
and I say, and I've said it publicly, and it's probably gotten me into trouble. It got me off the gay cruises. I said, I don't want to stand behind the skirts of a woman and let her speak for me.
Yeah.
I love Kathy Griffin. I know Kathy.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I love Margaret. Love her. And I know she's bisexual, but I want to speak for myself.
Well,
but they don't want to hear us, so you have to go down different streets.
We're not comfortable with it, and I think part of gay guys is so frequently saying, does he think he's funnier than I am?
Well, there are 10 guys in the audience that are just as funny as us. The only thing is they can't repeat it.
Right. Yeah.
It's a craft.
Well, and also just sort of, but so much of it just comes down to, like, having the self-esteem to, like, look at somebody else and be like, all right, good for them. Like, I like what they're doing. Like, we only understand being sexually attracted to someone or a drag queen or a woman, you know?
Well, I don't know about you, but because maybe where you came from in the town, but everything was so segregated into sections growing up.
Uh-huh.
Sex was here, work was here, and the idea, 25 years ago, I came out of the Geraldo show this year. So I've been doing all these interviews and writing the book. And
that's crazy.
So going back to all these things, and everything was I was almost like Sybil in a way.
Yeah.
I had to sort of integrate myself.
But I think integrating your identity for all gay guys is hard because we were trained, like I remember...
We're in an hour.
Oh.
You're my first hour over interview.
I just remember when I first started going to pride parades here in Los Angeles, there were a bunch of guys who would go out at night but did not want to be at a pride parade, or guys who were gay for sex but not for politics. And
really, at your age,
that's just changed now.
Oh God, I don't want to keep you any longer than you should be because
this is lovely.
This has been so great. I'm going to say a commercial and we're going to come back to the last words because I got to pay the rent here.
Okay.
Everybody, this is my commercial. Casa Crawford is your home away from home. Step into a new quarters. It's filled with beautiful original art. This B&B steps to Silver, just a couple steps to Silver Lake, is excitement. It's fun. It's people like Moby and Beck and Hot Chili Peppers. This is the new copy. Oh, they all live 3 miles from the area from where you're going to be staying. It's 3 miles from downtown, 3 miles from Hollywood. Come relax at a quiet, wonderful bed and breakfast, Casa Crawford. It's the hippest place in the neighborhood. If you want to go there, this is the number, 323-663-1664. My friend Scott runs it. It's beautiful. Call 323-663-1664. God, I can't believe it. Moby and all this. I didn't know that. He just sent me that. So, people can get this book on Amazon. They can get this. Probably that's the easiest place to get. That's where I got mine.
My Life as a Goddess, wherever books are sold.
It's really, really. It's the kind of book you're gonna read and not be able to put down. I've been circling things and writing things and so many things that felt so close to my heart.
Oh, you're so
and
sweet.
It's so honest. And you're writing on a new show.
Yes.
It's going to be coming out when?
We're not sure, but it's A League of Their Own on Amazon. So,
wow. I hope they bring Gina Davis back to do something.
We'd love that too.
I'm sure she would.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure she would. And your talk show?
Talk Show, the game show on True TV. I don't know if it's coming back, but you can watch it on the True TV app.
But still, what an accomplishment.
Thanks.
What a big accomplishment to have. And if they want to catch you, go to your website, which is?
Guy BRANUM, GUYBRANUM.com.
And if you forget his name and forget anything, and you just, who's that other bald guy? Just go to jasonstuart.com, STUART, and I will get a hold of him for you. Thank you so much for being on the show, everyone. Take care until next time.